Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Annabelle, Talent Career Coordinator at BioBuzz. I'm thrilled to have our amazing guest today, Lisa Madovic. Want to thank you guys all for joining here today as well. I'm going to give a little brief introduction to Lisa. Lisa is a seasoned intellectual property strategist with a remarkable career spanning both science and law. Lisa has worked with top biotech and pharma companies to craft global patent strategies that drive innovation and protect groundbreaking discoveries. She started her legal career at Finnegan as their in-house IP leadership roles, and then did that at Novartis and GSK, where she helped shape the IP landscape behind some of the most exciting therapeutic advancements. Before stepping into the legal world, Lisa ran a successful cell biology research lab at Yale University as a tenure-track faculty member. She was able to earn many different accolades for her contributions to the field, and now she brings her passion for education and mentorship to her work, not only as an IP expert, but she's also a member and co-vice chair of the MAPS Committee for Women in Bio Capital Region. Today, we're going to be diving into the intersection of science and IP law. Before I hand it over to Lisa, I do want to give a quick thank you to our sponsor, BioTrack, today for sponsoring this session. BioTrack is a leading resource for upskilling in the life sciences. They've trained over 17,000 scientists through their cutting-edge biotech workshops. You can learn more about them at biotrack.com. I also want to mention that today's event is part of the BioBuzz Talent Lab, which is your go-to hub for career growth, job opportunities, and industry connections. So if you haven't already, go on, join the Talent Lab, join our beta testing of that, and you can get access to more resources like this. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Lisa.
Hi, everybody. I'm really happy and excited to be doing this because BioBuzz, I think this is a great opportunity to learn about alternative careers for scientists. In this day and age, almost every intellectual property attorney who is in the bio field has come from academics and has a bio background. So it's a perfect opportunity. I'm excited about it. I think it's a great career, and I would love to share my journey and tell you a little bit about it. So what I thought I'd do is just go through a few slides and give you some really basics about intellectual property, what intellectual property is. And I'm going to focus on patents because most intellectual property attorneys focus on patents, and scientists in particular focus on patents. Trademarks and copyrights are also part of intellectual property law, and they tend to attract people that don't have the deep science background because you don't need to know as much science to do trademarks and copyrights. But patents are absolutely interesting, fascinating, and valuable. So let me tell you a little bit about them. Basics. What is a patent? It's a form of intellectual property protection. It is a legal protection, and a patent is awarded by a government for an invention. And I'll go into what constitutes a patentable invention as we go along. But it is a legal protection. So you have rights in the courts to assert and defend your patents. I think a lot of people don't realize this. This is a negative right. And by that, I mean that when you own a patent to an invention, you have the right to prevent others from making, using, or selling the claimed invention. It doesn't automatically mean that you can use it or commercialize it. And an example of this is if you invent a new great vaccine for something and it needs an adjuvant to make it work, you can have the protein part of the vaccine patented. But if another company has already patented the adjuvant that you need to make your vaccine actually work in people, then you either have to license it or figure out something or invent your own adjuvant in order to be able to practice that patent. So it's a negative right. You have the right to everything that's claimed in that patent so that others can't make, use, or sell it. They normally last for 20 years. Patents are an agreement, in a sense, with the public. The agreement is, you made this invention. In exchange for in exchange for having a patent, which has to be published, by the way, and in that sense, you're sharing that information with the public, you get 20 years of exclusivity. And after 20 years, then anybody can use your patented invention. So it's a deal. You publish it, you give it to the public, and for 20 years, no one else can practice it. It can be extended under certain circumstances, which are I think too detailed for this discussion. But at the end of the talk, which is going to be short, I am happy to answer any and all questions. Okay, how do you get a patent? You make an invention. You keep it confidential. Once it's disclosed to the public, it's no longer patentable. And I'll give you a little bit of detail about that very soon. So you get a patent by drafting and filing a patent application that fully discloses your invention. You can't hold anything back. You have to say everything that describes your invention. And then you have to file it in a patent office. There are patent offices around the world. Every country or group of countries has patent offices, and you have to convince each one separately that your invention is worthy of a patent. In other words, you would file the application in the United States, in Europe, in separate countries, everywhere. If that's what you want. If you only want protection in a couple of countries, you only file the patent in a couple of countries. Next slide. Okay, here's the criteria for getting a patent. What makes an invention patentable? It has to be novel. It has to be new. You can't have exclusive rights to something that already exists. It's about inventions. If it was publicly available before the application was filed, it's not new. And the way we as patent attorneys determine if something is new is we look at what are the scientific papers that have been published, what articles, what posters, what press releases, what oral presentations, what else is out there that could possibly mean that what we're doing isn't new. So a part of the job is scanning and interpreting literature to determine the difference between what the invention is and what's already been out there. That's almost the easy part. The harder part for a patent attorney is to prove that it's inventive, that it can't be obvious to a person with average skill. And this is something that you use lawyerly skills to convince the patent office that no, it wouldn't be obvious to anyone else but the inventors to make this. And that's the fun part. That's the hard part. And finally, it has to be useful. So novel, inventive, and useful. And almost by definition, biotech and pharmaceutical inventions are considered to be useful. So we don't worry about that. We worry about it being novel and about it being inventive. Next slide. I thought I'd give you some examples of what can be patented in the biotech world. You can patent physical things, we call them composition of matter patents. These are the most valuable patents. It's a patent to a thing that you could hold in your hand if it were only big enough. Things like antibodies, things like vectors, hybridoma cells, genetically modified organisms. You can also patent combinations of things, and you can patent an antibody. So for example, an antibody that has a radioligand attached would be considered a combination patent. You can patent a vaccine that has multiple antigens. The measles, mumps, rubella vaccine has antigens to all three of those. And then fixed dose combinations, aspirin plus an antacid or something. But again, it has to be novel and it has to be non-obvious. You can patent the formulations that you're putting your invention in. Things like buffers that support stability, things like buffers that support thermo stability. Those are often second line patents. You can file patents to methods of treating disease. These are very common, very interesting, very important. You can patent manufacturing processes. How did you purify that particular antibody or vector or hybridoma that you made? These are a little dicey. You can patent them, but they're also not that hard to design around. If you have a manufacturing process, you have to describe that manufacturing process in enough detail that anybody who reads the patent can do it. And if they figure out a way to do it a little differently and get the same result, then your manufacturing process patent is only protecting what you wrote, not what they're doing. I'm not sure. I hope that was clear. And invention spotting. I want to talk to bio people about this because this is the intersection between patent law and biology. The great thing, in my opinion, about being a patent attorney is that you get to work with scientists. You work with scientists every day, and what they think is routine. Like they're just doing their job and they're thinking about their job and making things that they don't always appreciate the genius and the inventiveness of what they're doing in view of what the prior art, what the state of the art is at the time. If your scientist is using an unconventional approach to develop new protocols, to optimize existing protocols, these can be patents. If they're optimizing methods of making or improving methods of making these inventions, might be patentable. Optimizing working ranges, optimizing temperatures, synergistic interactions between between a protein and something and its target could possibly be patented. New dosage regimens, new methods of administration, definitely patentable. So when a patent attorney is interacting with their scientist, ask the scientist and think to yourself: if we get a patent, is it going to protect something that is going to be valuable to the company? Is it going to be something that we can sell or license? And then ask yourself, something that we ourselves as a company is going to commercialize, or something that we can license to another company and bring in revenue for the company. Again, my favorite part of being a patent attorney: patents and research and development work together. You have to communicate, you have to collaborate. If your objectives are aligned with what the scientists are doing and what the company is aiming for, then you're going to have a strong intellectual property position and strong patents. And you know, you're going to have a good time with the scientists. And it's not, when you go to law school to become a patent attorney, you're not giving up science, you're just doing it in a different way. I see it as broadening what you're doing. Instead of your scope being thinking about the next grant or your next experiment or whatever the question you're asking, you are exposed to a broad range of different scientific topics. So patent attorneys and scientific project leaders meet regularly. We used to have quarterly meetings with the whole team. reporting past accomplishments and future plans. I would talk to a scientist almost on a daily basis, just to see, what's happening, what's the result of this next experiment. Am I going to put this in an example for a patent? We're very close, and we're also involved with general legal, and we're involved with business development for possibly licensing patents and purchasing small companies to beef up our intellectual property portfolio. So, we keep a very heightened awareness of what the competitors are doing, because we gear our patent portfolios to make sure that we're covering everything that could possibly be of interest to another company, as long as it's novel and as long as it's inventive. I think that's it. I would love to have a discussion. I would love to hear your questions and your thoughts.